You ready?
Let's do it.
First thing in our market, most of our buyers know that we're working with, or sellers know that there's something out there that is being thrown around a lot, and it's called appraisal waivers. Now, Brian actually brought up a point that there's two types of waiver appraisals, and I'd like you to comment on the two types and just kind of go what it means, because I'm telling you that a lot of agents are getting their clients in situations where they don't know what it means, and then the day of reckoning comes, and that's why you're seeing a lot of back on the market.
Yeah, I agree. So there's two types of waivers. One's the lender can waive an appraisal. So basically, a really high quality borrower comes in, they're putting more than 20% down, they can make an offer on a house, and based on that loan to value, our automated computer systems will read their credit profile, read their application, they're linked on the job, all that, and based on that can make a decision where they don't need to see an appraisal to fulfill the property, to fulfill the loan. It could be generated because the seller just did a loan last year and there's appraisal on hand, so Fannie Mae might already have like a database with an appraisal in it, so they don't need another one. Or it just might be the solid credit profile. It might mean if they're putting 50% down, who needs an appraisal if you're putting 50% down?
Right.
But if you're putting 5% down, you're not getting an appraisal waiver from the lender. So that's the lending side of it. The real estate side of it.
So I have a question on that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Who decides that? That's always a question, because we have some that we're like, this is never going to get an appraisal. Lender appraisal waiver. Let's be clear. It's a lender does not need an appraisal to lend the money. So who decides that? Is it some black box? Is it someone that your boss, or is it the underwriter? Or who decides that? It's like this.
Totally the black box.
Okay, totally the black box. That makes total sense.
Yeah, it's a computer generated thing. I mean, a loan application is a bunch of X's and O's. It's computer, right? So the credit report, it's a report. It's just a computer generated report. So that data gets filtered through this automated system, and based on the strength of the file and a whole bunch of other things, it's proprietary to Fannie Mae. So I have no idea what those things are.
Okay.
I just know from experience that we get them usually with the higher down payment. And
So how many of the loans you're doing right now have it?
I got one this morning.
But if you do, I mean, you've been doing this since January. What % of the loans approximately?
We've had appraisal waivers available.
Lender
to us.
appraisal waivers.
Lender appraisal waivers for a couple of years now, and it's less than 5% of the loans.
Okay, so you have to be a pretty well qualified buyer with some money down, and it has to really make sense for the lender to say.
Yeah.
So
For
okay,
the computer.
so now Brian brought this up. Now we're talking about the one that I was actually talking about.
Okay.
And this is actually the buyer walks in and says, "Well, all these offers. There's 40 offers. How do I make myself stronger?" It's called a buyer waiver appraisal, and I'd like you to talk about what that means and what happens. What does that look like?
Well, so the contractual agreement between the buyer and the seller has a contingency for an appraisal, and there's usually a limited amount of time that the buyer has to complete that. The lender orders the appraisal, but it's randomly selected. We don't get to pick the appraiser. It gets selected through a random process because they don't want the lenders tinkering with the appraisal before it gets done, right? So this is a law they put in place in 2010 after the 2008 debacle where the market fell apart.
Right.
So this was an arm's length. Think of it like an arm's length transaction. The lender doesn't know who the appraiser is, so he can't influence it, right? So on your contract, you can waive that contingency if you like, but the lender is not going to give you the loan unless the lender's waiver is provided, and if there's not a lender's waiver provided, then we have to do an appraisal.
Okay.
So we're going to do the appraisal, and right now they're taking a little bit of time. Appraisers seem to be pretty freaking busy,
Right.
So they're not coming through quickly. So I can't control that because I can't even control which appraiser gets
Right.
the order. In rural areas, it's even worse. So anyway, if you waive that, and then the lender does the appraisal and it comes in low.
Let's just use an example. Let's just use 500,000.
Okay.
So you come in, put an offer on a house. It's kind of iffy. Maybe it's listed at 475. You say I can put an offer at 500, and I'll cover the appraisal waiver, whatever.
Yeah,
so what happens if it comes that you make an offer at 500 and it appraises at 475? What happens?
Then the loan to value will be based on 475.
Okay.
It's the lower of the appraisal or the sales price. So if the appraisal were to come in higher, then we wouldn't worry about this, right?
High fives for everyone.
Yes,
Everyone
exactly.
celebrates.
Everybody's super happy.
But if it comes in low, what happens to a buyer that's waived the appraisal?
So let's say you made that offer with 20% down on a $500,000 offer. So now if I kept the loan amount the same and so I didn't lower the loan amount because I have to make it 80% of the
Appraisal value.
475.
Right.
Then the loan to value would now be like over 80%, so the buyer would have to pay mortgage insurance. I mean, maybe that's not the end of the world, and that's how we've solved some of these. So
Okay,
some
that's a
people
good
can
point.
do, like, if you're at a 85% loan to value and you have high quality credit scores, you can, mortgage insurance doesn't have to be paid as a monthly fee, so you would have to have mortgage insurance. So you could do a one-time prepaid mortgage insurance, and that would buy out your mortgage insurance. Your loan would still go through, and you could purchase the house, but you had to pay an extra fee. Right,
Okay.
so the buyer would pay an extra fee, and they could still get the house without having to put the extra money down
Great.
if they chose to.
That's actually one of the great. So, but if they don't, and they don't want to keep that, so basically, if they make an offer at 5, you waive the appraisal, it comes at 475. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is you, the buyer, is getting your little checkbook out,
Pay.
and you're writing a check for $25,000
Extra.
extra, and
Yeah.
that kind of surprises a lot of people because a lot of people think, oh, it's going to appraise because of the crazy market. And I'm here to tell you that it's not.
Not always.
We're seeing some appraisers keep a lid on this market. So you have to make up the difference, $25,000, and bring your 20% in. So it's a hefty sum, and that's why we see a lot of contracts go back on the market.
Well, and that's exactly it. So, like, that was the 20% down, situation we were just talking about there. So we had an alternative. We could have a higher loan to value. But if somebody's like a first-time buyer, and this is the sad part about
Right.
all this, first-time buyer doing a 3.5%, 5% down,
They don't have the
conventional or an FHA loan, they're new to the market. They don't have thousands of dollars just sitting on the
Right.
sidelines. They're pinching every penny to buy a house. And they want to get in because the market's so hot. They want to get in before they get priced out.
Right.
And we're pricing them out.
Right.
Doing this
And the
stuff.
problem is if you're on the lower end, if you're doing FHA, you don't have 10,000. So the problem is that if there's 30 offers, there has to be someone probably in there waiving the appraisal. So that's the trick right now is to get these people in. So going to switch gears because I was late to my appointment here. Sorry, Brian. But we're going to switch gears and spend like a couple minutes on 2 other items to hopefully make our buyers stronger in the eyes of a seller.
Cool.
So the first thing is obviously you want to use a lender like Brian that's well known around town. I can tell you for sure if Brian, if his approval letter comes up and a seller agent sees it, that goes a long ways. And all things equal, we can actually win some contracts just because of that, because you're a trusted commodity in the community. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, let's say you have a house, and we have lots of clients doing this, and want to move up.
So they own a house now.
They own a house now,
Okay.
and every time they put an offer in right now, they're getting rejected because it's contingent upon the sale. All their equity is built up in that house.
Yeah, they bought the house 10 years ago and it's doubled in value.
We have clients who bought 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So they have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in equity,
Totally.
and they want to move up.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what a bridge loan is, and it's something that not all lenders offer, but Guild does. And I'd like you to explain it quickly in simple layman terms on how that works.
Okay.
Bridge loan. We're
So
talking
think
about
of
bridge
it
loan.
like it's a bridge, right? So you're trying to get from one side of the cavern to the other, and normally you'd sell your house and then you don't need a bridge. So we're trying to bridge the gap for you. So you could take a loan against your departing residence, the home that you have to sell.
Now, even if they have an existing mortgage,
Sure, you can
all right.
have
So
a
on
second
top,
mortgage.
a second mortgage. Okay.
Now, it doesn't work if you've already gotten a second mortgage. Some people will get a home equity line of credit and they'll use it to remodel the bathroom or
Right.
something like that. So that you've already got a second mortgage, you can't really get a third mortgage. There's some maneuvering that you can probably do there. But if you have enough forethought to do this before you go in to make an offer on a house, the best thing, honestly, to do is to have a home equity line of credit set up on your house. So we have resources. We don't offer home equity lines, but I have business partners, referral partners that we go to and say, hey, can you help them get a home equity line? And you can stretch it up to 90% on a home equity line of credit.
Wow, okay.
So some lenders will do that, not many. Okay, so I cherry picked the ones that I know will help us get through this. So I try to do that ahead of time. If they haven't done that, if they don't already have a home equity line and they've got a few $100,000 in equity, like Ken just mentioned there, we could do a bridge loan at the time that they make the offer on the house. They need to list their house for sale. So that's the key. You have to actually list your house for sale. And we'll do a bridge loan up to 70% loan to value.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not going to have as much money down as you would have if you sold your house,
Okay.
but you've got some money. So maybe you have to put 5 or 10% down in this instance.
Okay.
So if you, let's say it's 10%. You put 10% down, you'd have to have mortgage insurance, so I'd have to qualify you for your new mortgage and the mortgage insurance.
So that's the trick, is you have to qualify for both.
That's definitely the trick. You got to be able to qualify for all the payments that you have now upcoming. We have to pretend like those payments are going to keep going on forever or for the foreseeable future until you actually sell your house. When you do sell your house, though, you've got that 30% of equity. I'm sure you'll have some real estate fees and all that kind of stuff that gets taken out, but in the end, you'll have a 25 to 30% coming from the remainder of your equity.
Right.
And then you can recast your new mortgage.
Okay,
So
time out. What does recasting mean? Because that's kind of a new term. Not a lot of people know it.
Okay. So the loan's amortized, right? So you have a 30-year loan, 360-month loan. So you start it, if you borrow, let's just say $400,000 now, the loan's amortized and will get paid off with all the interest in exactly 360 months.
If you don't make any extra payments.
If you don't take any extra
make
payments.
the payment every month.
Okay, so in the end, let's say you closed your sale of your house and you have an extra $100,000 in equity. Okay, so we'll re-amortize the existing loan that was given to you for $400,000. We'll re-amortize it as if it was a $300,000 loan to begin with. So now your payment drops to the $300,000 loan, and you're still going to have it paid off in 360 months from the origination date. But I mean, let's say you sold your house 3 months after you moved into your new house. So you've made 3 payments or 2 payments or whatever. So you have 358 payments left.
Right.
You're still going to have 358 payments left on the recast.
Mortgage payments can be made.
And if I had to set you up with, say, a mortgage insurance loan, so if you were paying monthly mortgage insurance, you only paid it for 2 months, because when you recast your loan, you can drop your loan to value down low enough to waive the mortgage insurance.
So what is that? 20%?
75% loan to value
75%,
if it's the first 5 years that you own the house.
Okay, so and then it goes to 20 after that?
20 years after 5, or 20% equity or 80% loan to value.
Okay, so you got to bring 25%, and if you have that, then you knocks it off.
We would have definitely had this conversation before you bought the next house.
Right. Okay, great. So that's about recasting. Now, how much does that cost? So you want to recast. You're doing this. What does that cost?
The recast itself doesn't cost anything. It just takes some time to process.
Okay.
So
So
there's no
what is
fee.
that time?
60 days.
Okay. So
maybe you end up making 4 payments.
Right.
With the mortgage insurance. That's really what it comes down to.
so there's a little more risk in that, just because
Yeah.
you're going to own 2 properties, and
So you're paying the extra risk fee. The mortgage insurance is a fee associated to that.
yeah, so that backs the lender if something happens, right? The market overheats or it kind of cools off. So,
Totally.
some great tips, because I have a podcast out today talking about what the market's doing.
Yeah.
Up 8%, $35,000 increase from February from 450 to 485. So, and a lot of people don't know that's going on because it was flat from November 450. It was flat from November last year till now, and now we're seeing once that kind of hit January, February, that's when the run-up is hurting, but we're always in the rears. We're always waiting for that to close.
Yeah, so it's April now, and you're just getting the February date.
We're getting March. We got March.
Oh, March is already out.
Yeah, March is out. So it's 485.
485. Wow. Okay.
Up 35,000 in 1 month.
That's expensive.
And I suspect that it's going to continue to go up until we get more inventory, which I suspect, and my theory is that if you look at the statistics over a normal year, more and more listings will come, and hopefully that will simmer the market down, because we need more buyers to be able to afford it. Otherwise, people are just going to be priced out.
It's just supply and demand, right? So
Yeah.
you got to think that if the price gets high enough, the sellers will just be super excited about selling their house for all this money.
And more will come on the market.
I guess the problem is if they don't know where they're going to move to. Do you think that's the conundrum?
Yes, and if you're moving out of the area, I have some people moving out of the area. If you can move to a lower cost place.
Oh yeah, move to Minnesota. It's super cheap.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Brian. So, I mean, this is what it's all about. Providing value to our clients joint, and hopefully I can take this video, share it on yours. If you guys have any questions, you can actually see the number right there. Is that the right number?
Yeah, it's 453-0345.
So call Brian. I know it was a little complicated, but he can. He always offers free consultations, right?
Yeah.
He comes in the office here, does a great job of explaining it. See if that is something that makes you more competitive in this market. That's what it's all about right now. If you're a buyer, is making yourself better and more appealing to a seller that's out there.
It's really just being premeditated about this whole thing.
Right. And you got to
make your plan and lay it out, and of course you got to pivot your plan sometimes.
Yes. So hopefully we'll have to pivot, and it's easier for buyers to get in here, because we have a dozen clients right now that are really struggling under $500,000 to find anything. So it's really tough out there. So thanks for being a great commodity and a great business partner with us. Call Brian, and I'll link his information below. And then hopefully maybe in a month I can come back in and talk about another topic.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do these Facebook Lives to make sure that our clients are educated about the market. And that's what it's all about.
I'll be here.
So take care of yourself.
All right.
You guys, if you have any questions for the Angst Real Estate team, we'd love to always earn your business. We're super busy, but we're always have time for go to lunch, have coffee, or talk. If you want to talk to both Brian and I, that's great too. And we'll go from there. You guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Brian.
No, absolutely. Take care.